no-nonsense highway patrolman is not putting up with this.
Like, I'm having a bad day.
So within 2 minutes, they've got them out of the car on the ground.
Well, yeah. Well, that
Covered
was
in glass for some reason.
One more time, we're back, and this is All Over the Place with Corey and Sean. Sadly, Sean is still not with us. He is healed up from his incident, but apparently he has been picked up for DUI, and the prostitute, or lady of the night, as he calls them, she not only had a considerable amount of cocaine, but she also had a penchant for human trafficking. From what we're told, though, he's going to beat most of the charges.
He will beat most of these charges.
Yeah, I think his story was...
he can at least plea him down.
Yeah, I think his story had something to do with she was a med student giving him the hernia exam. I don't know.
I thought she was checking his prostate.
She might have been. Actually, I think it was both. I really didn't hear.
She better be careful. She'll pop them stitches.
Yeah, well, no, he got the stitches out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got the stitches out. That's all better.
I haven't gotten the most recent update.
Yeah, the Coke bottle incident, that's healed up. I mean, he's better now. It's been 3 weeks. Sean, you might want to come back because this is only going to get worse.
See you soon, buddy.
Speaking of, I guess, semi-funny people in trouble with the law, I wanted to bring up some little bit of sovereign citizens.
Oh, God.
The jokers of the legal system.
I've been obsessed lately watching video
Me too.
video after video.
Oh, I love them so
See, yeah,
much.
you two watch the videos. I've met a couple, in previous jobs of mine, and they are just a barrel of fucking monkeys.
They're
I know that.
fucking out there. They're so gullible. They'll believe anything. Like, the laws don't apply to me.
Yeah, they said that they get to benefit from like our roads, our fire department, our police. All of the things that taxpayers the privileges or rights we have. They get to benefit from those, and yet they do not have to follow any of our laws.
No.
I love
Especially like
They don't believe in tit for tat.
They don't have to register their vehicles because that's their personal vessel, their private property, their automobile.
And they base it on maritime law because it's their private vessel, and they are a boat captain.
Do they fly Jolly Roger over their fucking...
No, they just always...
They pay people to teach them this stuff and how to get out of tickets. But the first thing they teach them is take the plates off your car. You don't need plates anymore. That'll get you out of tickets. They'll never stop you.
Yeah.
And then they're like, I don't have to show you my driver's license.
As a former officer of the law, I think they might be a tad incorrect on that one.
Yeah, they don't have to register their vehicles. They don't need a driver's license unless they're operating in commerce.
Yes.
Because the Uniform Commercial Code defines driving as operating in commerce, and you only need a driver license.
Well, I mean,
if you're driving.
You do consume
if you're doing
gas and like fast food and all that shit.
If you're doing it for personal travel, you have a constitutional right to travel.
Yes. They're free sovereign travelers.
So they're really just a bunch of gullible motherfuckers. They pay these people to teach them this shit.
Yeah,
do you think the people teaching them are just like
gurus?
I wonder what the fuck we can get these idiots to do this time.
I don't know. So I think some of the gurus actually believe the shit that they're saying because they'll call them while they're on a traffic stop.
Yes,
and they'll be telling them what to say. And I'm like, these people never bothered to ask, has this ever once in the history of law worked? Like, they'll tell the cops, like, you don't know the law, I know the law. And the cop will walk up and like to get their information, and they'll hand them a stack of papers and be like, read this. This is all the case law on this stuff of why I don't need a license and I don't need this and I'm not giving it to you. And I want your supervisor.
And every time.
And the supervisor shows up and is like, well, I'm glad you had all of that information so readily available. Go on as you please.
See, interestingly enough, that's not how it happens.
Really?
The supervisor shows up and the guy explains, oh, now you're the supervisor. You're here. You know all this. You know my right to travel and everything. And the supervisor says, did you give him your information? Well, you're going to be arrested and your car's going to get towed. Well, you don't know either. I want your supervisor. No. If he don't come out of the car, Busty's going to drag his ass out of the car, throw him in cuffs, put him in our car, call a tow truck.
And they always do.
If I was the supervisor, you know what my first line would be like? That. If I was the supervisor that got called and bothered by this son of a bitch, I'd be like, have you used your fucking club on him yet?
Yeah.
And when he says, no, not yet, that's the first thing I'd fucking do, just whack him.
The funniest ones, because I've grown bored of the window smash and drag out of the car due to your stupidity
I never get
videos.
You need a bigger high now?
I've graduated up to their court appearances.
Oh, yeah.
And when they're trying to explain to the judge that they don't know the law, the first thing they do is, I need this court to prove jurisdiction over me.
Because if there's one thing judges like, it's having their fucking credibility questioned in their own courtroom.
I watched one the other day. The judge is like, well, I've been teaching constitutional law for 32 years, aside from being a judge, and you are full of shit. And he was trying to explain to him, this is why you need a driver's license, like, because you're traveling, your mode of travel matters. Like, I could go out and buy an airplane, but I'm not licensed to fly it, and it's a good thing because I don't know how to fly an airplane and have no business in one, and other people that can be crashed into by me in my airplane have the right to be safe and for me to be licensed to fly said airplane.
Uh-huh.
I mean, he broke it down as simple as he could, and the guy's like, nope, this is not my rights. You have no jurisdiction.
He also
over
broke
me.
it down in such a way that you can't argue it and look like you're anything other than a fucking idiot.
The most infuriating and hilarious thing about sovereign citizens is the way they try to condescend to the officers that pull them over.
They always do it every
time. And they film themselves.
And like it's going to help them.
Just so you know that this is being filmed, you're going to go on YouTube. You know, you want to make yourself look good. You don't want to act like you don't know the law. So,
well, let's get a few more likes.
No, I love it.
By the way, here's also my fee schedule. By accepting that piece of paper I just handed you, you agree to this, entering into this contract to where I get $500 for every minute that you have me stopped on the side of the road. Cop's like,
did you see the video of this guy who he was doing this, saying that he was a free range traveler, whatever it was, and the cop wasn't buying it, obviously. So he busts a guy's window, gets him out of the car, and a second officer rolls up on scene, and as the guy is being led to the original officer's car, he looks at the second officer and goes, I want this man arrested because he did not show me his identification, and I do not, and I'm being kidnapped. I'm being kidnapped right now. And the second officer is just like, I just got here, and he's like, I'm being kidnapped. I do not recognize your authority. He did not tell me. And meanwhile,
I do not consent.
Yeah, he's like, I do not
everything
consent.
has to be consent. I do not consent. I do not consent.
Did you see the one with the
You don't need to give consent to be arrested.
Oh, you know, the girl, did you see the one with the girl? They're kind of in the desert situation, and she tries this crap, and so the cop is like, you got to get out of the car. Because the girl originally, she was just in the back seat. She was just kind of there. And turns out, like, it had a bunch of tickets on it, whatever. And the cop's like, ma'am, you need to get out. Like, this car's going to be towed, whatever. And she's like, why is he being arrested? Why is he being arrested? I don't consent to this. I don't consent to this. And she's like, I'm not getting out of the car. And she refused to get out of the car. So he opens the door up, and he's like, you're going to get out of the car one way or the other. I'm not getting out of this car. You cannot. I do not consent to you touching me. You are not touching me. And... and yeah, it's so
you see the camera hit the ground.
Yeah, and then she starts screaming, rape, and the cop's like, I'm not doing anything to you, and he's like, now open your arm up, because he's trying to get her purse off of her shoulder, but she won't do it, and she's like, no, you are not. I do not consent to you touching my property, and and he's like, ma'am, he's like, if I handcuff you with that still strapped on your shoulder, he's like, I'm going to cut the strap. He's like, I'm going to cut the strap. He's like, I don't want to, and he was trying so hard, even with the guy.
You just can't be nice to these idiot fuckers.
No, you can't, because they, I don't know. The thing is I don't really think that they honestly believe it. I think they just.
I think some of them do.
Some of them do, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
The ones that believe it are the kind you can tell they'll fall for anything. They've got an old beat up 50-year-old pickup truck.
Yeah.
Rips in the seats and cigarette butts on the dashboard.
Yeah.
And
The people
they're told to look at Waco and look at how the government oppresses people.
Well, and some of them get radicalized like that. They have shootouts because they don't recognize that authority of the cop trying to give them a ticket and send them on their way.
These same people who are gullible enough to fall for that are probably supporting like 5 Nigerian princesses.
I'm sure.
They're probably got 3 companies that they're trying to recruit people to sell for them. And they're just the dumbest
he was
people.
saying about the I'm being kidnapped.
Yeah,
there's a couple that gets pulled over and the girl is like shouting out her 2 cents, and while the guy's trying to do it and everything too. And when he gets pulled out of the car, or before he gets pulled out of the car, they're standing outside the car, backup's there, they're gloving up. She calls 911. They'll recognize the sheriff's authority, but not any municipalities because they work for the corporation, and they're not a corporation. The sheriff is the law. And the sheriff shows up and is like, what they said.
And I just love it that they claim that they don't recognize. They were like, you did not identify yourself. You didn't do any of this. And meanwhile, he's like, ma'am, I have a badge. And she's like, you did not show me your ID. And I don't
have to.
And she's like, I don't know who you are. Meanwhile,
just explain who I am.
Meanwhile,
I'm arresting your ass.
Uniform.
Well, but meanwhile, they'll turn the camera to the back. You see these lights flashing. You see the name of the police department on the sides of it. Like, it's very clearly marked. It's not because. I would almost.
You will find out my name in your copy of the paperwork from this arrest.
Some of them will tell him that.
Yeah,
and it's awesome.
Absolutely.
And it'll be on the arrest report.
Well, I mean, okay, just and this is again devil's advocate here. I would almost, if say like an undercover officer wearing plain clothes came up and tried to arrest him, I would honestly,
if they're performing police duties, they are they are obligated to identify themselves.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But
officer.
But if they say they went to court and the undercover officer didn't have a body cam on, whatever, and they were like, well, he didn't identify himself. He just came up and started trying to arrest me. I'd almost be like, oh, okay. I mean, it's probably not true, but
that's it. Like the stretch of
a uniformed officer, and them going, I didn't know who it was, and I feared for my life because I thought they were kidnapping.
They always
me.
say too, he's like, I'm not getting out of the car. I'm afraid for my life. I'm surrounded by guys with guns. Yeah, we're police officers.
Yeah,
we have guns.
Yeah.
But then I always. My favorite is their misinterpretation of the laws because they'll start screaming, Pennsylvania versus Mims, Pennsylvania versus Mims. And what they believe, their interpretation of Pennsylvania versus Mims is that police cannot ask you out of the car. But Pennsylvania versus Mims, the real verdict in that case was that if a police officer asks you to get out of the car, you have to get out of the car.
Yeah.
Like it's not a
Potato.
Yeah, and so they'll go Pennsylvania versus Mims. I don't have to exit my my personal vessel because these road pirates are trying to kidnap me from my.
Well, it's
boat.
funny too. They're usually spouting out the names of case law that's over 100 years old and has been changed and updated many times since then.
Well, because probably back then, when we didn't have cars, like it'd be like, you can't pull me off of a moving horseback. Sure.
Well, they'll say too, like, the Constitution is the law of the land, and those are your statutes. That I don't, you can't prove this. Well, the 10th Amendment to the Constitution says the states can make any laws that the Constitution doesn't say, and the states can form their legislators out of their Constitution.
And how we can go even lower
the
to
laws
county and city ordinances.
Yeah, they can go on down and down and down, and they want the judges, if it makes it to court, because they're right in the law, and it's always going to get dropped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the best place to give a legal argument is on the side of the road too.
Because they
like, Your Honor, my case is clear.
They always go pro se. They never want a lawyer, and the ones that do want a lawyer, they're like, their lawyer, you can just see it in their eyes, is so exhausted. It's like, please.
Like, you're so
no,
fucking stupid.
It's like,
I believe that my client wishes to go pro se. He's like, yeah, I don't want this. This lawyer's stupid. I don't want him. I've told him the law. I've told him what it means. And he's stupid. And the lawyer's like, Judge, please let him fire me. Please let him fire me.
let him fire me.
I'd like to withdraw, sir.
I'll go home.
But yeah, I love it because I've seen a few of the sovereign citizens when they represent themselves and they get up and the thing is it is true that when you represent yourself, you can't claim a mistrial because you represent yourself. And they'll get up there and they'll start doing their best fucking Matlock impression. Mm-hmm. Like, Your Honor, I'm just a.
Let me tell you, man. Yeah,
I'm just a simple.
Are you familiar with bird law?
Well, you can't. You can't keep that for recreation. That's That's not legal.
It's great. The ones in court are the best ones because they're just completely dumbfounded. It's like,
and so is the judge.
Not working.
It's like, are these jury trials or just in front of a judge?
Usually, it's like an arraignment. Or
okay, it's just arraignments. Okay,
And
so it's just a judge. It probably never see the fucking side of a jury.
Oh no.
Like, just think of trying to convince 12 people that you're not full of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you see the one woman with like lipstick on her teeth and like the wild, crazy eyes and wearing fucking combat boots and and then you're like, them's my people. I want that one.
There's like some of these videos that just the traffic stops are like hours long, but every now and you'll get one and you'll scroll through and be like 8 minutes. And then you'll click to like view the whole title and they're like, no nonsense highway patrolman is not putting up with this.
It's like, I'm having a bad day.
So within 2 minutes they've got them out of the car on the ground.
Covered
in glass for some reason.
Well, there was a video I saw from Donut.
Probably dove out of the car at him.
But from Donut Operator, he had one where this guy he was a sovereign citizen.
Get to the punchline before you start laughing that hard.
Because I'm just thinking of it as funny because he this guy, he gets pulled over, whatever, for I think it was reckless driving. Like, it wasn't just a simple speeding ticket; it was reckless and something else. Well, anyway, he refused to get out of the car, and there were apparently three or four officers on like surrounding him. And the cop had already taken his keys. He wasn't going anywhere. Yeah. So the cop, busts the window, gets him out, throws him on the ground. Well, the guy calls 911 as he's on the ground, and he said, "And
I think I've heard this.
Yeah, and 911.
You showed me this.
And he goes, and 911's like, what's your emergency? He's like, these cops are beating me.
Yeah, I don't know if I got that far into the other story or what. The guy with his girlfriend in the car, but he gets out. She's on the phone with 911. She's like, we're being kidnapped, and the operator's like, okay, where are you? What's going on?
And
so, we've already got officers there.
That's what
I said. Help!
They're the ones kidnapping me.
He was calling the police to come and arrest because he was like, they're assaulting me, and so they were just trying to get him in handcuffs. And he had the phone, and you hear him going, ah, screaming into the phone.
These fucking people.
Well, my favorite thing is when they're in their court hearings. And they're like, is Sam Johnson here? He's like, I am here under special appearance representing the name Sam Johnson. And they're like, so you're Sam Johnson? No, I'm here on special opinions as the executor of the estate of Sam Johnson because I am not the all capital letters name that was assigned to me by the corporation. And they're like, okay, what's your name? It's capital S, lowercase a, lowercase m, capital J. The spelling makes a difference. Like, no.
It's like, I can see the judge writing this down. It's like,
well, there was one judge that he said something like, well, if you see him, tell him what happened in the hearing too, or tell him that I want to speak to him. Then there was another judge that was like, okay, you're not him. Okay, well, we're going to have to swear out a warrant to arrest him because it'll be like a Zoom call or something like that. But, he has not appeared in my courtroom, so we're going to, warrant, I'll sign it out, and we'll just go have him picked up because he refuses to participate. I am the one the name is Sam Johnson. You're referring to me when you say the name.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
changing your tone a little bit.
Yeah, you get that worn out. But that's always the best part about sovereign citizens is that if they would just take their license out, because the funniest part is that most of them
have one.
They have a license. They just won't. And if they would just go hand it to him, the cop would write a ticket, and that'd be
move along.
And there would be nothing else. But then they'll put their window down, or they won't. Half the time they won't even put their window down at all, and they'll go, I can hear you fine from here. This is for my safety. This is for my safety. And the officer's like, well, I can't hear
meanwhile,
you.
the cop's out on a highway with cars going 70 and 80 miles an hour by him.
Yeah.
This is for my safety. Here's what else you need to do for your safety. Cover your eyes. Smash.
That's what most of them do. And
most of them get pulled out the window.
Yeah.
It is so satisfying to watch.
It is.
It's
especially
the most satisfying thing.
I love it when they get tased. Did you see the one with the woman where she was trying that? And this officer, I don't know if he was just having a bad day or that was just how he was, whatever. But she goes, there was two officers. One was almost like I don't know if he's a training officer, whatever it was, but there's this one big, huge guy, and then one kind of, smaller guy. And they're sitting there going, ma'am, we need your ID. And she's like, nope. She's like, I do not recognize your authority, and blah, blah, blah. It starts going off, and you just see the big guy. You see his eyes light up.
He's like, here we go.
And you see him immediately. He pulls his gloves out, and he's putting his gloves on, and he's going, and he's just got this big grin on his face. And so they bust the window out. Well, she like basically grabs onto the steering wheel and won't let go. And so the big guy is sitting there because he got to bust the window out. Well, they get the door open, and she's like, "No, I'm being kidnapped. I'm being kidnapped." Because of course she was on the phone. But then the younger guy, the smaller officer goes, "Ma'am, you're gonna get tased if you don't let go. You're gonna get tased." He warns her like 10 times, and so then finally he goes pop, and he sets it off in her back, and she starts screaming, and she lets go, and they drag her out of the car. She goes, "You did not warn me. I do not consent to being tased."
Actually,
well, that's kind of the point, man.
We have it on recording that we did warn you.
I saw one. This doesn't happen enough, but I saw one. It wasn't they're usually it's their own self-incriminating cam that they put on YouTube. This was body cam footage. So the supervisor that they requested rolls up, and he's talking to the officers behind the car and everything. And they're like, "All right, well, we'll get him out of there." He comes up, and the guy cracks his window. He's like, "You need to step out of the car. You're under arrest. If you don't step out of the car, we will deploy chemical agents into your vehicle to get you to leave the." So of course they emptied 2 or 3 pepper spray cans into his car. He was upset, but he got out.
Oh yeah, I've seen that one because you could hear him talking back there. He's like, "Well, we'll just pepper spray him. We'll just, and it was just kind of nonchalant." But
fuck yeah.
And
we'll just spray him,
like he's in a car, it's enclosed. We don't have to get it too.
Well, one real good one I saw too was when they set a canine loose on one of them. And
always funny.
I do not consent to that.
I do not consent to you ripping my arm off.
Well, it was this guy. He was this shirtless, little scrawny white guy, and he's sitting there, and he made an illusion to them. He didn't flash one or anything like that, but he made an illusion that if they do not get away from him, that he would shoot them. He basically said, "I'll cap your ass," or something to that effect. But they were like, "Really?" And so you see that
we can step this up a notch.
So
now.
one of them walks to behind. He's in one of those SUVs, and you see the trunk pop, and you're like, "Uh-oh, that's a bad day." And
I'd like to thank you for escalating this situation.
He's like, "Rambo here hadn't had quite enough exercise lately." Well, anyway,
plus he hadn't had his lunch.
Well, first and foremost, they bust the window out. Well, the guy, he's in a van or a big long SUV. And he pulled the keys out, and he's throwing them like in the back. So they bust the windows out, but he slips through the 2 front seats, and he gets all the way in the back. And so right about the time they're like, "Sir, if you don't get out of the car, we're gonna let the dog loose. We're gonna let the dog loose if you don't get out of the car." And he's like, "No, no." And so then he pulls a cigarette out, which I actually kind of was like, "Yeah, I'd do that too." It's like if I knew I fucked myself that bad. Because he pulls a cigarette out and he starts lighting it just as the dog comes back on him. And it was like, right before his execution.
Like a fucking movie scene.
But he's sitting there and he goes, and then after that he uses his foot to try and get the dog off of him. And then the dog just bites into his ankle.
That always works.
And it bites into his ankle and then just works its way up to his arm. Like, that one was funny as shit. But again...
Yeah, it's nonstop laughs with those people.
That's it. They sound so fucking stupid and full of shit.
They are.
It's like, how have I not dealt with more of them in wrestling?
Like the epitome of like Dunning-Kruger, because they absolutely insist that they know this 100%.
Yeah.
They're smarter than you because you do not know.
Yes, and 9 times out of 10... And another one, I saw oddly enough, a YouTube video of a girl trying to look up a YouTube video of a sovereign citizen, like an argument. And she's like, well, I saw this video and this is the way it is. And,
I thought it worked for her.
And the guy says, "Ma'am, everything on the internet is not true." And
I like the ones where they'll leave their camera going when the cop, initially walks back to his car, and they're practicing and reciting the script to themselves that they're gonna say, and it's always the same stuff. They forget to clip that part out when they post the video.
And they just look stupid.
So you see them going over and over, just talking out loud what they're gonna say, and they'll come up and they'll practice it like, well, the cop's gonna hear this and that's gonna be the end of it.
Yeah.
And the cop hears is like, no, that's dumb.
No,
that doesn't make sense.
Well, that's like, this fucking stupid full of shit crowd. How did I not run into more of these in wrestling? Because that's how a fucking standard wrestling fan is. It's like they are stupid, they are fucking insistent, and some of them, especially in certain states, are dumb enough to look at you in the eyes and say, "It's all real, isn't it?" Like,
sure is.
Yes,
yes,
it is. We fight to the death every night, good sir, and we thank you for your attendance. Well, I don't know about that death because you wrestled last night too, and that fella you wrestled last night, he's on the show with you tonight. Very observant.
Your knee looks okay today.
Are you calling me a liar? Did you see what I did to that guy?
Well, I saw he bashed you with a sledgehammer.
And yet your face is not in
Yeah,
pieces.
I mean, how'd you do that with no bruising? You train your skin to take the sledgehammer.
We're really tough.
Like, bad motherfuckers. It's like, yeah, we were sovereign citizens in our past life.
It's still real to me, damn it.
They probably are. Go
Guy.
out to the parking lot and check tags if they don't have a tag, or if it's several years expired, or if they have a homemade tag that says "not for hire." Then there's one right there.
Yeah, I forgot.
I'm gonna follow him home so that I can witness when the cop pulls him over.
That's it. They got the fucking telltale signs of vegans. It's like you can pretty much see. Yeah,
it's so much worse.
But you can pick one out of a fucking crowd pretty easy.
And CrossFitters, you don't have to pick one out of the fucking crowd because they'll tell you.
They'll find you.
They're the first ones that like fucking vegans. Oh my god.
That have to be a whole other show. We go on vegan.
Yeah,
vegans. That's too much. Sorry.
Yeah, vegans. Sorry, you get off this fucking week.
Yeah, right now. Yeah.
Maybe when Sean gets out of trouble, we can get him going on vegans too, because he has the worst fucking diet of anybody I've ever seen. But I
don't even think a vegan can fucking stay awake because they don't have enough protein.
Tend to nod off a lot
to get here.
Bean
to this
curd
point
has plenty of protein.
What? Like, this is the most healthy lifestyle, and I'm not eating things with souls.
They're always pale. Their skin looks kind of yellowish and waxy, and it's just ugh. And
they're just generally fucking insufferable to be around.
Oh yeah.
But that's because they're always hungry.
To tie them into soft sits, these animals do not consent.
They do not consent.
You're probably
to us
right.
Eating them. That's true.
It's like, you can't eat the animals, but the cows that you don't eat are killing the ozone layer with their farts.
It's like, okay, well then,
because of logic.
Then let's kill the cow. Well, no, you can't do that.
Like, we just have to find a way to contain the cow farts.
Well,
Like-
go suck it out of its ass and you hang
That's
on
it.
to it.
Wrap your lips around that cow's asshole and get ready. And be sure you film it, you fuck. Y'all like to record everything. I want to see this. This is the only video you can make that I will watch. I
Recycled cow
can't
farts.
suck the fart out because it was once part of a living creature, and that would mean I'm eating meat. No, this is gas form.
This is the methane of the creature that died many, many, many years ago.
Yeah, like doesn't taste like. Is this what hamburger tastes like?
Sorry, Bessie.
That's probably what your vagina tastes like.
Oh God, most of those fucking hippies, yeah,
fucking
I guarantee it.
fucking patchouli's oil. Like, yay! I want to smell like a mound of dirt that's been fucked by a hobo. That's a great idea.
Nice.
Ugh,
One of the better Patton Oswalt jokes.
I know. But that's
why,
exactly what patchouli smells like.
I hate it.
Like, it's disgusting. Like, it's beyond.
Oh my God, I think we're good on this one, aren't we?
More or less.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's listening this long.
Yeah, I mean, nobody cares this much about sovereign citizens, do they?
Sovereign, you know.
I do. I'll watch anybody talking about their shit.
Yes.
Should have went
But-
with Hulk Hogan instead.
Everyone Google sovereign citizens, follow them, and send the videos to us.
Yes, yes.
But if you're going to Google it, you might as well hop on our YouTube and watch this fucking episode so we get some views.
But the way I look
We're
at
probably
sovereign,
gonna be doing that in order to get his message to Google it and send us a video.
Well, we'll see.
but no, Shane, too.
I don't know about the order.
When you're talking about, you know, these people, they never ask, like,
The order of operations means nothing to
See,
me, okay?
I think
It's not in the Constitution.
It's not.
that
I mean,
they
sorry.
have asked that question, like, as to whether or not it will work. And I think the person probably said something to the effect of, maybe it's got like a 1% chance of working. And then it was the Dumb and Dumber scene. So you're telling me there's a chance.
I think there's some of them too. They're like, well, yeah, this happened, you know, to one guy. That he's one of my clients, and he totally got out of it when they end up dropping. The prosecutor's like, this guy's an idiot. He's spending
Never happened.
Spend a night in jail. He's got to repair his own window.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll just dismiss.
Yeah,
This
it never happened.
And because what I think is probably is exactly right. Is probably because the prosecutor just dropped it, just because
Yeah.
it wasn't worth his time.
Like,
But,
I don't-
of course,
Just
they
to
take
get
it
away
as,
from those
you know,
fucking idiots.
Yeah, they take it as a
dropped
win.
it because they can't win this legal battle.
Yeah, it's like they knew that I was right, because that's a whole genre of the sovereign citizen videos. Is
They knew I was right.
when it just so happens that and it'll even say on their decision, like the verdict papers, it'll say like why it was dropped is just because, like, you know,
Or dismissed without prejudice, which means they can bring it right back.
Yeah.
and then but then they'll
They
go
might
on
as well just say, fuck that guy.
and then they'll go, yes, and see, they knew I was right, and they're going to, they're going to reprimand the officer that did this to me, and blah blah.
Nope.
And it's like, no, they're not. It's
Nope. Nope. Bottom line, you're wrong no matter how right you think you are.
you're a fucking idiot.
Yes.
I like when they tell the officer, "I'm going to sue you." Okay.
Go ahead.
And I told you and showed you the laws, so you lose your qualified immunity. So I'm going after your house and your pension. Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah. All right.
Go for it.
Yep.
And it never, it's
Go right
never
ahead.
works.
You know what they never say? Do we cut here?